JCLady.
Hi there, this is Joanna, and I'm going to talk today about Polish grammar as an example of ancient grammar. And today is the next video from the second series of the whole series of ancient grammar, Polish grammar. And the topic today is 3 conjugations. Now, it's kind of difficult to talk about it in English because there almost are no conjugations in English. Now, what is it about? It's about the verb. And a verb, just as any part of speech in Polish, differs, changes endings. When we, depending on who's talking, is it like first person, second person, third person, like I, you, he? It exists in English also, a little. So it changes, the ending changes. And also in past tense and etc. Now, so that's what conjugation is. Basically, the name, we didn't use that name in Polish grammar, and especially not in ancient grammar. However, I decided to keep that name because it's I thought it's maybe important to keep some names, right? Or keep like both. And conjugation, basically, what we now mean in grammar is that it's a kind of whole schemata, pattern, right? That it's not like one form, but more forms in like a few of them. Because otherwise, the verb has other forms too. There are participles, other forms. And when I did my table, just like in other languages they do it, like for example in French they have Becherel, and which is the book of verb tables. I did it for Polish and it was huge. It's the whole A4 page and I couldn't fit it in smaller, no way. Anyway, when I was doing that, conjugations are only here, right? But there are other forms as well. There are modes, there are other aspects, and so on. So today I'm just going to talk about conjugations, meaning those really patterns, 3 patterns, like because, yeah. Now in Polish grammar, there are quarrels, I would say. In some old professors, they stick to the old patterns, the old ideas, and according to those ideas, there were like, we could say 3 or 5 conjugations. Now, when you look at what the young professors do, young linguists, they say there are like 12 patterns, 12 conjugations. Now, no way, that's crazy. That's crazy. Going crazy, I would say, all about grammar. But let's go to the ancient grammar. No, there are only 3, in fact, because even those 5, according to old professors, they are variations. Now, why do I say that 3 conjugations are those patterns? Patterns in the style like when you've got the verb such as sleep, for example, and you say, I sleep, you sleep, he sleeps, and you basically has the third person only changed. We sleep, you sleep, they sleep. But we, of course, have and different endings for each part of the pattern. Okay, there are 3 conjugations. 1, 2, 3, and they are strictly connected to aspects in Polish. there are many, not really many. There are 7 aspects, but really the patterns that we can find that are really not only forms, but just as such patterns, such schema, the idea of whole pattern, you would say, it's just for the aspect jednokrotny, which would correspond to your continuous aspect, and the wielokrotny, which would correspond to your simple aspect, and dokonany, which would correspond to your perfect. Those are aspects, and those aspects made up conjugations. Now, I'm going to focus now, because I will later in the later videos I will focus on each aspect separately. So now I'm just going to focus on main part. What do I mean main part? It means that I'm not going to describe all of it, because conjugation is like the whole pattern. But maybe let's focus only on something like on present tense, on only aspect active, and when the person is speaking, and not when it's impersonal. So, jednokrotny aspect, it makes conjugation number one. And it's for example, it's in the it's for the verb palić, smoke, and as you can hear at the end, it's e. We say palić. Palić, of course, it's an infinitive. Ć goes always for infinitive. Now it varies. Linguists say that you can terminate infinitive with c, sh, ch, ch. No. Yeah, the verb changes, and it changed a lot. But in the ancient grammar, even like when we now have the verb piec, which is bake, and terminates with c, before it was piekić. So ć, basically, that's a c with a accent. Ć. It was the only ending for the infinitive verb. Now, piekić or palić, it's jednokrotne, so it's the conjugation of jednokrotne of continuous aspect, and the conjugation goes like that. For person 1, person 2, person 3, singular, 1, 2, 3, plural. Piekę, palić, smoke. Palę, palisz, pali, palimy, palicie, palą. And then that's very regular. But with time, there were some variation for that conjugation. That's why I decided to not to say conjugation 1 and 2. No, there are variants. 1 for jednokrotne a, we say a in English, and b. 1a, 1b in Polish. 1a, 1b conjugation, because with time some verbs had e after e, or e changed into e, so it got bigger a little. For example, the verb nieść, but before it was niesić, and now it's like niosę, so it's just like in conjugation 1a, but then it's niesiesz, not niesisz. Before it was niesisz, like palisz, but then it got niesiesz, niesie, niesiemy, niesiecie, niesą. niosą. Now, can you hear the difference? E changed into E. It got larger a little, but that's still a variation, only variation, because otherwise the endings are the same, and still those are words. That's the most important. Those are words, those niosę, niesiesz, those are jednokrotny aspect, continuous. So you cannot say it's another conjugation, no way. But there's conjugation 2, and that's only, there's no A, B, no, there's just one, and it has got A inside. For example, for this palić, we don't use really palać, smoke in the sense of simple aspect, but we have with prefix wypalać. But I will do it without prefix. I will tell you. Here it was, just listen, palić, palę, palisz, palić, palę, palisz, palimy, palicie, palą. In second, the same root word, different aspect. It got palam, palasz, pala, palamy, palacie, palają. And that's a very, very regular conjugation number 2 for aspect wielokrotny, which corresponds to your simple, which is repetitive, because that's what simple normally is. It talks about action which repeats, especially in present tense. And conjugation number 3, that's dokonane, perfect. Yeah, that's perfect. And this is most complicated to explain. It's maybe not to you in English, but but if you are studying Polish or Slavic languages, then yes. But because perfect aspect, it's a huge topic that I will talk about maybe even in 2 videos, because now perfect aspect is often done with prefixes, which is all wrong. But before, in ancient grammar, and we still have it in some verbs, it was done with a letter n inside. N, and in infinitive it was no, and then the ending ch. And for example, for the word, for the verb palić, we've got a verb palnąć, and which is in third conjugation of dokonane, perfect aspect. The problem is that this verb got a little squeezed, and now palnąć, it just means to hit somebody, but basically it's palnąć. First of all, it was an aspect, perfect aspect, perfectus, meaning fire, do the fire or quickly put on something on fire. But then it was also used for all the, how do you say, the pistols, right? Something that really put fire, like through the fire. And that's what it was, even in like 17th century and 16th century. Palnąć, it meant wypalić, palnąć, do it quickly, just shoot from something where you would put the powder inside, right? Not even balls, powder. Okay. Third conjugation, but let's do it. Let's take this verb because it's good. It's here. It's palić, palać, palnąć. Very nicely shown, those conjugations. Palnąć. It goes like that in present tense, in active aspect, etc. Palnę, palniesz, palnie, palniemy, palniecie, palną. And there's this n, which meant perfect aspect. But there are others, like and there are some verbs still, and they have this perfect aspect. Sprzątnąć. sprzątnąć. For example, the word sprzątnąć goes here, third conjugation. Here we still have sprzątać, same root word, same root verb. But here we don't have anymore, but it was sprzątić. Sprzątić. But I can make it up, of course. Everything you can be made up in Polish, because it was there before as a potential, or really was. Sprzątić, sprzątę, sprząti, sprzątę, sprzątę, sprzątisz, sprząti, sprzątimy, sprząticie, sprzątą. Sprzątam, sprzątasz, sprząta, sprzątamy, sprzątacie, sprzątają. And this exists, and this exists. Sprzątnę, sprzątniesz, sprzątnie, sprzątniemy, sprzątniecie, sprzątną. So just like the other. Palnę, sprzątnę. It's very regular, very regular. Those conjugations are very regular. Here you've got here you've got two, A, B, here is just one, and here you could have probably one, A and B, because you could have you could have nić or nąć, but basically now it exists just a nąć, and sprzątnę, sprzątniesz. However, I think that at the beginning it was nę, nisz, ni, nimy, nicie, nią. Therefore, I could say that in conjugation number 3, you could have A and B too, meaning A with E inside, ni, and B with nie inside, like sprzątnie. Yeah, so I guess that's it. The conjugations are here, like number 1, 2, and 3, and the rest are other variations. The other, like, what is the word? You don't even have the word. Like, conjugation is the variation for the verb changing, but we've got the word odmiana, which is Polish, which is like for the whole. It means change, vary. And we say variation for the verbs or for the nouns, for anything, and then inside only we say conjugations. Okay, that's it from me. I hope it was clear, because it was difficult to explain. And remember that language manifests the world.